What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to ask the question, what are you doing with? We're going to ask you about a handful of players. What are you doing with these guys in Dynasty for the rest of 2022? Now, my co-host tonight is the guy who called me an old fucker before I hit the record button, but you know him more as the man of the hour and the man with the power. Jerry Sinclair, you weren't wrong, my brother. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Central Iowa got hit with like 3 inches of snow. It's the first time I've seen that, so that sort of sucks. But what time did you wake up this morning?
Too early for me.
Yeah,
My
when
alarm.
an old person wakes up, so that's why you got called that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but old people do it intentionally. Like normally, I sleep into a normal time, get up at like 5:45, so I get to work on time. But for whatever reason, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and I could not go back to sleep. So we are soldiering through. Jerry, a lot going on in the dynasty world, man. How are your leagues going so far?
It was a little bit of a rough week, even though I don't have tons of Cooper Cup. Obviously, that's the real bad news that sort of hit everybody. My redraft league, I did have Cooper Cup. Listen to the atrocity that is this league. So, defending champion in it, humble brag, 3 times in the last 4 years. Yet another humble brag. Actually, not humble, just to brag. I have Cooper Cup, I have Jamar Chase, and I have Hollywood Brown. And this is a standard redraft, right? Like 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 quarterback. So I got wide receivers and flex locked down, and absolutely none of them are playing. So I'm 5-5, and I'm just trying to stumble my way into a playoff spot. So hopefully they can come back and I can make a run. But overall, it's okay. I think I'm having a better year than I have in the last couple, just trying to reboot a couple of teams like I have been, but it's going good. This was a worse week than the rest of the season has been as a whole, I think.
Yeah, my teams. We're going to get into Cooper Cup here in a bit. He's one of the guys we're going to talk about, but that did not help my really contending teams, obviously. So that was not good. But we're going to get through all of that. Just want to make sure before we get into the body of the show, of course, good people, bad tweets. We want to make sure we mention the YouTube. A couple of new subscribers last week. That was awesome. Really appreciate that. Didn't get a chance to check before we hit record for 5-star reviews. Great way to help the show. We're going to talk about sponsors in the Patreon, obviously in the body of the show. We always do. But that's the simplest way. Just subscribe anywhere that you're hearing this. If that's YouTube, go to YouTube. Leave a comment, thumbs up a video. Helps out a ton. If you're listening via podcast and it's iTunes or it's Spotify, leave us a review. Those are the big ones that really help us out. And the guys are putting out a lot of great content right now, whether it's the rundown, whether it's the SmackDown, whether it's the Daily Destroyer, the War Games. A lot of good stuff coming out of the DWZ right now. So make sure you're subscribed everywhere. Lock in so that you don't miss anything anywhere, Jerry. But I'm not going to waste any time. I ain't got no time to waste. We're going to get into everybody's favorite segment, Jerry. Good people, bad tweets. Now, Jerry, this tweet was so bad that I had not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 people send me this, including good friend of the show. I won't even name that good friend as not to drag them into this, but 6 people reach out to me and say, hey, you got to get this Luke Sawhook tweet. And
I know
Luke, yeah, you know which one it is. And this was, I don't see the date on the tweet. Fantasy trade just went down. I get Damian. This is a redraft, by the way. We'll make sure I caveat this.
Okay.
I get Damian Pierce for Jonathan Taylor and Justin Fields.
Okay. Well, that backfired absolutely immediately.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to address the Justin Fields part of it. In a redraft that is probably a 1 quarterback league, I got it before this week because I was skeptical too about the possibility of Justin Fields continuing to do the things that he has done. In hindsight, after one more week and now 4 straight weeks of at least, I think, 80 yards rushing or more, he looks pretty awesome as a fantasy quarterback. Trading Dameon Pierce for Jonathan Taylor is just wild on a level that I cannot even fathom, because you had to take him either 101. I mean, I would say almost universally he went 101 in a redraft league.
I will say that as the redraft season kicked on, CMC creeped into the
Fair.
101. So no, but no later
Still.
than 103. We can agree no later than 103 is
And
what you initially paid.
And if this is points per carry, maybe it'll get a little closer, because Dameon Pierce is getting a lot of touches. So in the format like that, maybe I could see it. Randy, that is Hall of Fame bad. And Luke is a young guy, and he is still learning his way in this game. And I don't mean the analyst game. I mean the fantasy player game. He's an entertaining kid, and he's a good analyst, and he does all that. But you gotta take the lump on this one, because this is like Ray GQ and the Jalen Reagor thing. Like, you just face that. You sold in. You got to take the mud when the time comes.
Well, there's some context now. You're right. It was a 1 QB league. He did have Lamar, and at the time of the trade, Jonathan Taylor was nicked up and
looking back.
The field. So hindsight, looking back through it, he did own it. He put a ton of context out there. So in a vacuum, it did look really bad. And if I think he said his record was 7-2, so I don't necessarily hate it. But I felt
it's not going to kill him by any means. But also, like, if you're 7-2 and you have Jonathan Taylor, you have to assume shit's going to get right. And you took him either 101 or 102. I mean, it couldn't be me. It's a move that is very, very risky for no reason, really. I can't.
Well, I mean, unless he needed Dameon Pierce that week, I didn't get the sense of urgency to overpay.
Yeah.
For at the time. But you know what?
We're talking JT plus.
But in fairness to Luke, it does look bad now, considering JT had his breakout game and Fields has put up back-to-back bangers. So in fairness to him, at the time, given the context, it is
bad. It's just not an absolute atrocity.
So, but that wasn't the real tweet that got my shorts in a knot.
Okay.
It was Denny Carter of NBC Sports Edge coming to Mr. Sawhook's defense. And Denny at CD Carter 13 said, "Can't help but notice at Fantasy Receipts, which initiates and fosters bullying and harassment campaigns against fantasy football analysts, goes after younger folks in the industry. This is a typical bullying tactic used by the weakest and most pathetic among us." Denny, that is the dumbest tweet I have heard in a long time. Luke's tweet was bad. It wasn't good. And I understand that you want to be the virtue signaling white knight who comes in to his rescue, but I got news for everybody, including the guy sitting across from me. The minute that you start charging for your opinion, you're no longer an artist. You're in the commerce business. You are now selling your opinion to others. Therefore, you can be criticized publicly. I don't see a white hat and Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith. It was a bad take. And that's what Fantasy Receipts does. They kind of infringed on our gimmick, to be quite honest.
That's
quite honest with you. I mean, fun-spirited way. Luke gets fingered a lot. Not hanging out like fingered, but like he gets pointed out a lot, as do others. And here's the thing. It's not that Luke's a bad guy. Jerry mentioned he's learning his craft. Here's the thing. Luke has a skill that I wish I had. I'm going to be real honest with you. I wish I had this skill. You know what that skill is, Jerry?
Social media?
He is really, 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 really good at social media. That's what Luke's figured out. He's got a lot of these young guys do. They've got the social media figured out. I wish I had that level of social media-ness to my game because I don't. I do not have that. I do not know how to make tweets go viral. I do not know how to engage for content. That is a skill that, as someone who's doing this at very young in his career, he is learning that. But you have to understand that. So if you go to the worldwide interwebs and you pay someone for advice, you have the right to criticize them. If you went and saw Wakanda Forever like I did, yeah, I was there opening night. You have the right, the minute you shelled out your $15 or whatever for a ticket, you have the right to criticize that movie. If you go buy the new Drake 21 Savage, or is it 21 Savage album,
don't look at me.
You have the right to criticize and review that album. That's how it works. If you pay for something and you do not feel like you got value for your dollar and you're in the selling of opinions business, you're at risk of being criticized. Now, if he was just some college kid doing extra credit for a statistics class, different conversation. Leave him the fuck alone. But he's not. He's a professional. It says social media analyst for the Dynasty Nerds. He has the tip function turned on his Twitter account. So he is accepting cash money for these takes. He is fair game for anybody. So Denny, I don't know you that well. I mean, I see you on like Twitter, kind of, because I mute you, but like see less of. But this is a crybaby ass tweet. It's weak, and if you're selling something, you have the right to be criticized. That's my opinion, and I'm going to leave it at that.
I agree. I do tend to like Denny's tweets, but I will say that this is a pretty bad tweet as well, because it's not. There's a reason that this one got such backlash. It's because it's
bad. It's because it's bad.
If Justin Fields would have been bad this week, it still would have been an atrocious trade. There's no way, shape, or form anyone that has played this game for any extended period of time would suggest trading Dameon Pierce or trading Justin, Jesus, I'm flabbergasted, Jonathan Taylor for Dameon Pierce.
Just say JT, it's easier.
Yeah, JT, like English is a tough language. There's just no way anyone listening to this thinks it's atrocious. It's a soft take. I'm with you. It's bad. You need to be criticized. Also, I will never understand people not doing this. Here's the thing. Everybody likes to say process over results, right? Here's the problem. We play a results-based game. If you don't get the results right, then your process is wrong. The bottom line, period, exclamation point. So I hate that.
And what I think the common person misses is that regardless, this is a win for Luke. This thing had like 300 retweets, 1,000 likes, 100 comments. That's the engagement. That's his shtick. Have we not? That's how he wins at social media. He's the guy who 2-3 weeks ago, the first week that Malik Willis started, you need to start him. He had like a laundry list of like 20, like basically every QB not named Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And I'm not even sure they weren't on the list. He had like everybody to start Malik Willis over all of them. Whether that tweet wins or loses, he wins because the take is so bad or so good that it generates interaction. It generates engagement. That is what they want. So Denny, you can put off the white hat. You can let Luke continue to win at social media. That's why at like 19, he's got like already half the followers you do. And a year from now, he'll have more than you because he's better at social media than you. Quit trying to save everybody. Let the world play itself out. Everybody's playing a certain game, and we'll move this thing on down the road, Jer.
Yeah, I mean, we had to take some time for this one, though.
It was. I got so many people.
I would put it as it's the Jerry Rice of good people, bad tweets. In my opinion.
It's going to go on the Mount Rushmore of good people, bad tweets for sure. And I think suspiciously that's what they want. And suspiciously, again, English language not the easiest. we want you to know about our Patreon. Now, Jerry, it's not the biggest Patreon.
No.
You know, like back in the day, like the Genovese crime family was not the biggest of the 5 families. But much like the Genovese, you know, we are a close, tight-knit group. We do real well. We're very profitable. And we would like to welcome you into our family. Come over to patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Jerry, I put up rankings, mid-season rankings on Sunday. You roasted me. You can talk about that here in just a minute.
Bit, just a little.
For me, the process of rankings is arduous and time-consuming and frustrating.
I'm with you.
But our patrons love them, and I love our patrons. So that's the only place that I put up my rankings. I'm going to do some running back rankings for them. I owe them a podcast in relation, but all that's the extra. It's $5 a month, and it's to support the show. It pays for the streaming service. You think that whiteboard behind Jerry was free? Dry erase markers? You kidding me? Think they grow? He takes those from work. But anyway, if you want to come over, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Come on over, hang out with us, join our family. And you know what? I love the group chat because it's got 3 seasons, right? You got regular season, like right now we're talking trades. Sunday, Jerry, I found a way to put baseball practice to my advantage. Not coaching this year, so I drop him off, and I've got like a 3-hour window from 11 to 2, and I sit there from 11 to 1, and I take all the start-sit questions. We break that down. Then you have like rookie season, like really starts in February through about June. You know, rookie content, you know, rookie rankings, all those fun things. But then like the secret third low key, like this is like the secret family. That's that July, August into September. That's when it's kind of slow. And we're talking about summer vacations, but we're still talking Dynasty, a lot of Dynasty. But that's when like the human side of everybody comes out, and that's what makes it a family.
True.
100%.
JC starts busting out the toys. Cole's back at work, bless your heart, doing the
Cole back on
Saginaw's finest,
patrolling those mean streets. So come over, find out what we're talking about. Patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. So Jerry, let's get into this. We're going to do a little segment called What Are You Doing With? And the first guy we're going to talk about, we've already mentioned him a couple of times. Spoiler alert, I will give you this one, like, you know, like the old drug dealer adage, which, by the way, I've never had anyone come up to me in all of my years on these streets. No one's ever come up to me and said, hey, would you like some free drugs? You know, they always say, like, the first one's free. Never happened. But I'm going to give you the first one for free. I have moved Justin Fields up to number 8 on my QB list in a startup. Started the season, I had him around 13, 14. You were shocked and amazed, Jerry. So what did you think of my ranking of Fields as number 8? And what are you doing with Justin Fields in a dynasty league right now?
I mean, I don't have tons of them. I do have a couple because I like to diversify, but I'm holding tight. I don't want to sell them, but I also don't want to buy right now either, Randy. And I know that's a lukewarm ass, boring take to have, but honestly, after you have 2 games that are some of the absolute best that a quarterback has ever rushed in fantasy games in back-to-back weeks, it's going to be tough to trade for him for a reasonable amount, especially because he still has warts. He has not looked good passing the ball, and even if he did, the pass catchers he has are not good. They're just not. I mean, Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet's of the world, he's getting a little bit more production out of them as everybody pays attention to where he's running. But in truth, they need an alpha there. And I don't want to say that, you know, he could take that Josh Allen sort of step. You know, once Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs, he took a step. But he has looked good. You have to be happy with the 7 to 8 point floor just in his rushing that he's been giving you. I mean, at this point, it's like 14 because he's been getting like 80 yards and a touchdown every game. But you want to see, he's never going to be a pass for 350 yards guy. He's never, he might not pass for 300 in more than one game a season.
Jerry, his season high is 208.
That's what I mean.
Forget 350. Can we get 250?
Well, I know. I'm saying even if he got an elite guy, I'm saying that still probably wouldn't happen. But if we can get 230 yards out of him, and he can still rush for 80 yards a game, I think that's a good spot for him. And it's gross. I was going to write a message on the board that says Justin Fields a star and I hate him for it because I liked him as a prospect, but after watching him, I never thought it was going to be a thing. And you always wanted him to run and he just wasn't. And now he is. So it's nice to have. I traded for him in the league that I have all the hurt wide receivers in, just so I can try and get some boomer bust to make it to the playoffs to get those guys back. But Randy, you have been an eternal pessimist on Justin Fields, and you have him extremely high. So you talk on it, friend.
Well, you got to be fair, right?
Yeah.
I've always said this. I'm always going to be on this show more about getting it right for the listener and the subscriber than I ever am about being right and making sure that my initial take on a guy was right. I love what I see from a fantasy aspect. 100 plus rushing yards, 2 weeks in a row, including a record 178 in week 9. He's had 80 or more rushing yards in 4 of his last 5, 60 or more in all of his last 5. I mean, he is rushing the ball. Here's the thing that concerns me. This is why I'm selling.
Okay.
What can I get in addition to Trevor Lawrence for my Justin Fields? Can I give you Justin Fields? Can I take Trevor Lawrence? And what will you give me on top? Because here's the thing. This happened to Michael Vick. This happened to Lamar Jackson. This is going to happen to Justin Fields. Eventually, there's going to be more tape on this offense. Eventually, you have to take a step forward as a passer. He has completed 64% or more of his passes exactly 2 times this year. Exactly 2 times. He has thrown for more than 200 yards once. Tyler Heineke already has more 200-yard passing games than Justin Fields. Oh, yeah, he's already got more actual NFL wins. This is my concern. No matter how many fantasy points he puts on the board, at the end of the day, he holds on to the ball too long, which opens up the door to injury. He runs the ball a lot more now, which opens up the door to injury. I've seen it time and time again. We're going to go back to Lamar's big breakout season, right? 2019. He played a partial year as a rookie, and he came in 2019 and set the world on fire. He was the QB1. But what happened next year? He dropped down to the QB9. Why? Teams got more film on him. It wasn't as new anymore. You started seeing you started seeing defenses like on that Thursday night game where the Dolphins blitzed the shit out of them. You start and you have to be confident that this person can take a step forward. And you know what? Maybe they get him some more weapons. They got a ton of cap room. They got a ton of picks. But I'm putting a lot of eggs in my dynasty basket on Ryan Poles to get the players right. I've got a lot of eggs in my basket on the offense continuing to grow under head coach Matt Eberflus, who's a defensive-minded head coach to begin with. And I have to bank on the fact that Justin Fields is going to take a step. Could he rock our world the rest of 2022? 110% he can. But you know what? A lot of defensive coordinators, as a matter of fact, I bet all of them make at least 7 figures. They make at least $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Their job in the offseason is going to be charged with figuring out how to stop this offense. Can he take a step forward? I don't know if he can or can't. I know he's going to be good the rest of this year. You know what? I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to progress. I do think they're going to continue to add weapons around him. I do think Christian Kirk's a great number too. So I'm just using him as an advantage. Hey, what do I have to add to a surging Justin Fields to get to an underperforming to this point Justin Herbert? What kind of deal can I make? I want to ride this 2-3 game hot streak because we know how everybody's a fish and they live in a fishbowl and they only remember the last 3 weeks. And I'm going to try to piggyback this momentum. Now, if I end up getting quote unquote stuck as a contender with Justin Fields the rest of the year, that's fine. He's going to be an awesome QB2. He's going to be an upside QB1. You know, if you have Matt Stafford and he was like your QB2 in a 1 QB league, you're dancing. You're just dancing right now. He's awesome. I have him in a league we're in together with Kyle from the SmackDown, and I have him. You know what? I haven't played him. I'm going to start. I'm going to bench Dak for Justin Fields this weekend against Atlanta. But if I can move him and get solid pieces that I have more long-term consistent belief in, that's what I'm doing with Justin Fields.
I am not going to argue with you on that because I get the rationale. Justin Fields, the problem is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the reason that I don't want to overreact to the situation because
Fair.
I felt the same exact way about Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts made me look stupid. And I still feel the
Well,
same
it wasn't
way about
Jalen
Justin
Hurts, pal.
Fields.
I'm just going to stop you right there. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts. But keep going.
No, but in the case of the prototype of a quarterback that's just like this, they are the same. And he got AJ Brown and he took it to the next level, which is why I think if they can get somebody else in there and they can get an alpha, that they can help him out. Because Allen Robinson wasn't that last year, and they don't have anybody now. So it's definitely possible. What you got?
Well, this is the first pushback. So again, Washington in division with Jalen Hurts. They saw him for the second time last night. In the first game, on the road at Washington, he completed 22 passes for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Last night, the second time this defense and that defensive coordinator saw him, even though it was at home on prime time on Monday night, which normally favors the offense in these matchups, he went 17 to 26 for 175 yards, 2 passing TDs, 1 INT. You know what? That's what you love about the guy. He still gets you the rushing. He got you a rushing TD to boot. So from a fantasy standpoint, it was great. But it shows me that Ron Rivera, who's a defensive-minded head coach, and his defensive coordinator, I don't know that gentleman's name off the top of my head, they took that time between week 3 or 4 and last night, was we record on Tuesday, they took that time and they say, hey, here's something we can exploit. And that's my fear long-term, not so much with Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts, I think I moved him up to 3 or 4. He's right there in that Mahomes, Herbert, Allen mix. So I'm not like I'm penalizing him because he's continued to do it. But this is my fear because I've seen it multiple times. I've been playing Dynasty for a long, long time. These defensive coordinators, they catch on, and I'm mostly concerned because I'm just going to be very honest. Unlike Lamar, Michael Vick, other running quarterbacks, I think Lamar's honestly the best actual passer of that group. I'm not so sure about Jalen Hurts. Excuse me, I'm not Jalen Hurts, of Justin Fields. That's why I'm selling. I'm going to get something. I'm going to get something in return, or I'm going to pay up to get one of those top 3. That's how I'm handling it.
If you do decide to sell him, it's now. I mean,
it's
based on
now.
Based on the 300 yards of rushing, if you're a person that determines that you don't believe in what Justin Fields is doing going forward, or even for the rest of the year, or whatever, or you just feel like you can exploit value, you have to do it following 300 yards rushing and 3 or 4 touchdowns, whatever it was, in the last 2 weeks. Like,
it's 300 yards rushing, and I believe 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So listen, this is about value. This is about, even though it's Dynasty, in season, people are stupid. I'm just going to be very honest.
100%.
Trevor Lawrence is on bye this week. If you can go offer Justin Fields for Trevor Lawrence plus, he may not have the ceiling, but it's about the plus.
But I think the plus is a first right now.
I think it is too. And Justin Fields has been great. Can he keep it up? You know, I will say I've got him much higher rated on my Dynasty board, but not by a ton. But we spent a lot of time on Mr. Fields.
I mean, we had to, though. He's set the world on fire.
So hot right now. I'm just looking to capitalize on that heater. I really am.
Yeah.
So the next guy, another young guy. We're going to cover 2 young guys, 2 old guys.
Okay.
Jerry, what are you doing with Dameon Pierce with Houston?
I don't want anything to do with Dameon Pierce. And I say that with all due respect.
So you're not going to give up Jonathan Taylor?
No.
And Justin Fields in a redraft for him. That's what you're saying.
I've
seen it done. By a pro.
I would absolutely sell Dameon Pierce in every league that I'm in. James Robinson taught me my lesson. I learned from the mistakes that I make, and I think James Robinson is exponentially better than than Dameon Pierce is. Dameon Pierce has not done anything that makes me think he's great. He doesn't catch a ton of passes. He's not scoring touchdowns. Houston's not going to be in a good spot so that they're going to score tons of touchdowns. What am I missing? Because he's getting a couple games where he's had 26 carries or 27 carries or whatever it is. He's not even doing tons of stuff with those. So it's a bad offense that he's not likely to score on. He's not great at pass catching. No thanks. I'm good. He's great to have if you have him right now.
What are you taking?
I would sell him probably a lot shorter than most people, especially if some people are selling him for Jonathan Taylor. But
that's a redraft, Jerry. Redraft.
I know. But still, if his value is that much in a redraft league, you can assume that his I view him in the same way I view Donta Foreman. And that might sound gross to a lot of people. I just don't think either of them really has a monumental fantasy impact next year. And we're just riding them out this year. Dameon Pierce will get drafted probably in the 4th or 5th round of redraft leagues next year, and he'll still be used on dynasty rosters. You just won't be winning a championship or even making the semifinals with him as one of your starting players. I'm good. I'll sell him for anybody that, just lost a running back or anything. Even if you have Cooper Kupp or something and, they had to move one of their flexes up into the wide receiver spot. Here you go. Here's your flex replacement, bud.
Yeah, he's actually more involved in the passing game than you might would have thought. He's had 27 targets and caught 22.
Yeah, he had in 9 games. He had 6 though. That's the thing.
6 catches for 8 yards. That really skews the data for sure. It's not like the Texans are done. They've got a ton of draft capital from the Deshaun Watson trade to Cleveland, currently 2 top 10 picks in the upcoming draft, and a ton of money for free agency. It's a huge running back class. So the odds of him maintaining this bell cow role, and you're right. So he has not scored a lot of touchdowns. He actually hasn't scored a touchdown since his bye week. So the last 4 games, no touchdowns. And when you're not chipping in a ton, he's giving you I'll give you his last 4 games.
Okay.
15, 14, 13, 12.
Okay. Yep, good enough.
He's a solid RB2. Total season, though, he is a fringe RB1. He's 13th overall and has had his bye. So in fairness, he is right. But this is not James Robinson. James Robinson finished his rookie season on an equally bad Jaguars team where he finished as like the RB4 and made the Pro Bowl, I believe, as a rookie. This is not apples into apples. This is apples to pomegranates. It's kind of the same, but not really.
Ready? Donta Foreman has started essentially 3 of the last 4 games for them. 118 yards, 118 yards, and 130 yards in 3 of those 4, and he's got 4 touchdowns to boot. If I can get Donta Foreman for cheaper, I'll just do that. I really don't. Do you see Dameon Pierce being a thing in the future is the question. I don't.
I don't because of his lack of proficiency in the pass game. I think they could add a pass catching back in the draft. They could add a pass catching back in free agency. He's not going to have the, and it's just going to become muddled. And then you're going to have to deal with, as a dynasty GM, you're going to have to deal with the draft capital conversation. You're going to have to deal with big dynasty dragging his value down in the mud and choking him out because he was a 4th round rookie. Those are my overall concerns. He's had some nice flashes.
Donta Foreman's the same thing. If you go back to the earliest years we did this podcast together, all of these same things were said about Donta Foreman. And it took him, granted, he had the Achilles tear, and we got to this point. Dameon Pierce is having it now, which is good, and he'll get a paycheck for several more years because of it. But I'm good on that.
He has played the last 4 games, okay?
Yeah.
Over the last 4 games, week 7 through 10, he is the RB17. Now, he's played all 4. Nick Chubb, who's 14, has missed a game due to bye. Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, all these guys are ahead of him, but they've only played 3 games. He's played 4 games.
Yeah,
he's just not a week-to-week winner.
No.
He's a solid RB2 that so far has remained healthy. And if I can get a first round pick for that guy, we're going to talk a lot about him next year the way we're talking about Elijah Mitchell right now. Not to say that Houston's going to go trade for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, of course.
But he's a guy with low draft capital. James Robinson. I love James Robinson. We're the OG James Robinson podcast. Shout out Shane Hallam for turning us on to James Robinson.
But look at the situation
he's in. Look at the situation. And unlike a Travis Etienne, unlike a DeAndre Swift, hell, even unlike a Najee Harris, at least all those guys, what they have in common, top 50 NFL draft capital. Dameon Pierce can't boast that. Nope. So that is my larger concern with Dameon Pierce. If I can get like any first,
100%.
I think he's gone.
100%.
I mean, you're looking at most of us play super flex, but even in a 1 QB, you get a first. In a 1 QB, I may want a little bit more. Like if
I'll trade my second too. Dameon Pierce in a second to get a first, but that's just me. I'd rather have the first.
You're cheaper than me.
That's because I just don't care about seconds, and I would rather have the first. And I don't think Dameon Pierce is worth anything in the long term.
I think there's a lot of factors that can tank Dameon Pierce's value between now and your rookie draft that can't
100%.
Tank the value of that rookie pick.
Correct.
If he tears an ACL, his value plummets.
Done.
Again, he doesn't have the draft capital of a Travis Etienne. He's not guaranteed that job back if he gets hurt.
No.
And
I mean, that's to pull it back to Donta Foreman. That's exactly what happened. And you didn't see Donta Foreman's value rebound until 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And he's what, 26 years old? Like it never happened. And he got lucky to have that happen, that they happened to trade their star running back.
I'll go same position, same rookie class, Breece Hall. He's still trading in like the top 5 running backs in a startup value. 100%. Why? He was drafted super high in the NFL draft. He also flashed quite a bit. His dynasty value has not taken much of a hit, nor will it. Correct. Between now and next season. But Dameon Pierce, there's a lot more landmines you have to dance around. I would rather not dance around those landmines, and I would rather move off Dameon Pierce. But this next guy,
Mike said Pierce is going to get Michael Cartered, and I think that's perfect. I think that's exactly the problem.
In the reverse, where Michael Carter was like more of a pass catching third down back, and then they bring in Breece Hall. It's going to be the reverse. They're going to bring in the pass-catching third down back that's going to hurt Dameon Pierce. But he's right. They're going to bring in somebody between the salary cap and the draft picks. But this next guy, it hurts quite a bit. And I'll just jump right into it. It's Cooper Kupp. And what I'm doing with Cooper Kupp first is having a candlelight vigil here in my podcast studio. This is like I try to avoid like crazy annoying victory laps, but Cooper Kupp's been my guy. I've been championing him since 2017. I fought with other dynasty analysts over Cooper Kupp. I've been to bat for Cooper Kupp. I've got him on so many rosters, and this bums me out. But unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do. This is why I tell our patrons. This is why I tell the listeners of this show. If you're going to swing big at expensive guys, go get them right at your trade deadline. Go get them right before the playoffs. Because if 2 weeks ago you made that big all-in move to get Cooper Kupp, maybe I tried to do this in reverse before Kupp got hurt. I tried to send Kupp and some other pieces for Jamar Chase and some other pieces in a league. And if you had made some kind of move like that right now, you're really sad. Going to acquire, as if the Matthew Stafford injury wasn't bad enough, but then you double down his injury, you're wrecked. You just gave up a ton to go get a premium asset, and now he's hurt. And this is the same mentality. I'll circle back to Cooper Kupp, but you got to take this kind of mentality involved if you go trade for a Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. And those are just the running backs. Those kind of guys, those older gents, that the minute they get hurt, again, their age is going to hurt their long-term dynasty value. So if you're going to win a ship, and we're talking like a month from now, and we're going into week 14, and your trade deadline hasn't passed, and you could do it, big thumbs up. That's the time to push the chips in. But don't do it now even if you have to, I don't love it. So I love Cooper Kupp. Obviously, you're going to hold. He had the tightrope procedure today. Could be 4 weeks, could be season ending. 4 weeks from today would have him, he would miss 10, excuse me, he would miss 11, 12, 13, and 14.
So right in time for the playoffs.
Right in time for the playoffs. Maybe him and Stafford, want to come back, get a few reps in. That's kind of the hope. But, I mean, you can't move him. I mean, maybe you buy him. Maybe you take a Christian Kirk, a little low-key victory lap. I actually told everybody in our patron group chat Sunday morning to go get Christian Kirk because I had heard on a non-fantasy but an NFL-related podcast that offense works a lot better when they funnel the ball through Christian Kirk, and sure enough, he blows up that day. If you can take a Christian Kirk who's hot right now and you can send Christian Kirk and maybe like a second, I don't know if that would be enough, but maybe you find someone desperate and you can go stash Cooper Kupp for later this year or next year. Maybe that I do with Cooper Kupp, but he is going to be 29. So I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really want to buy. I'm definitely not going to sell. Where are you at with Cooper Kupp?
I'm not buying, but I also understand not selling too, especially because if you have Cooper Kupp, the chances that your team is good, or at least you're in a good enough spot where you can afford a loss or two over the next month, I'm going to guess is pretty high just because he has been awesome, because he is awesome. Even when Stafford has been absolutely diarrhea this year, he still funneled the ball to Cooper Kupp a ton. But this is what Stafford does also. So any Lions fan will tell you that Stafford does this. Sometimes he looks like he's the absolute best quarterback in the world, and then he poops his pants. And that's what's happening. And then it's unfortunate that we had to watch John Watford or whoever it was. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
The Wolf? John Wolford? The Wolford of Wall Street?
Once I saw he was starting, I knew I was not going to watch that game. But I think holding him is fine just because he's still going to retain. He's going to lose value. No way around that. But he was going to do that even if he stayed healthy just because of his age. But now more so, he's definitely going to slip. But he'll still retain value. I'm fine with holding him. I think if you do decide to, it's selling him in the first month of next season. Let him have a 20-point game or whatever, a 10-catch, 120 yards, or doing what he does, and then I'm good, because now I'm flipping him because he's at the point where age is going to be a factor. Matthew Stafford gets injured, at least banged up quite a bit. That's always going to be a thing. And they got the Super Bowl. They got the ring. You're much less hungry once you've already had your steak. So I'm probably flipping him. I'm not trying to buy him because I feel like the person that has him is still going to want a ton. And if I got to not have him in my lineup and then I have to buy an injured 29-year-old wide receiver, that's just bad practice, in my opinion. Even if he is a bad motherfucker like Cooper Kupp is, because he is, in fact, a bad motherfucker still. But
the time to buy is now. For the next this week, next week, while you catch your league mate in mourning, they're in sadness. People in mourning, people who
not
are
when
sad.
It's fresh. Not when it's fresh. I feel like it gets even cheaper, like when you have forgot that you have him, when it's been like a week or two.
I think you got to let them take that 0 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe they even take an L. Like they Cooper Kupp gets some 0 points. Maybe they take an L because it's another big bye week. And maybe you get like a YOLO offer. But Jerry, let's YOLO on one last guy. Now this one's going to be difficult because the ceiling is the tippy top, but what you've gotten season to date has been the absolute floor. It is Darren. I want to be a baller, Mr. Darren Waller. What are you doing with D-Wall in a dynasty league, particularly a tight end premium?
It sucks, right? Because he's pretty old, but also he has shown.
What is your problem with old people?
I'm not.
Me old? Listen, now you're calling Darren Waller old?
I'm probably. Hold on.
I think he's 30.
I'm probably older than Darren Waller.
Darren Waller turned 30 in September. You
Okay, then
ageist son of a bitch.
I'm a lot older than Darren Waller. I mean,
Well, then put some respect on this man's
no, I'm
name.
sorry. I'm sorry. But I am also not going to be running out onto an NFL field because I would, in fact, die if I attempted one play. It's, I don't know. Derek Carr seems like it's the end of the road there. I mean, you bring in Devontae Adams and your team crumbles, right? Everybody gets super excited for the outlook, and it's just been bad. I mean, your Colts went in there and just beat them, and they brought a guy off the couch to do it, and they still did it. Now, granted, they finally went to the game plan that they should have been doing the whole time, which is Matt Ryan and giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor. But I digress. It seems like
I
that's
believe
going to
the
be a
term you're
change
looking
of
for
guard.
is mollywopped.
Yeah, they did.
They
get
went there and
mollywopped.
mollywopped him.
But it feels like there's going to be a changing of the guard there at quarterback. And so then you're going to have potentially a rookie who could, I mean, I think they're the second pick right now, which I don't think they're going to stay that. But if they do end up with one of the great young rookies, maybe that's a boon, but also maybe it takes some time. And by that time, he's going to be 31, 32, 33 years old. If you can get him for relatively cheap, I think he's fine. Tight end premium or not, because the tight end position is an absolute joke.
It's a travesty.
It's
a
honestly
mockery.
like I would feel everybody complains about kickers. Kickers are more reliable than tight ends are. At least I'm going to get 7 points out of my kicker. The tight end is not going to do anything. Now, granted, we're talking about a dynasty show, and I don't have kickers in dynasty leagues, but you get what I'm saying. It's bad. I mean, look at George Kittle, right? One of the drafted in the top 4 of tight ended every single year, all because of like 4 years ago. Doesn't do anything. He does nothing.
He's either going to win you the week or you're going to get blown up for the week.
Yeah, like it's just Darren Waller has a pulse, and he plays tight end. So yes, you would be happy to have him. So if you can get him and you can acquire him, absolutely you should. For that reason and that reason alone, because otherwise you're going to have Mike Gesicki, who's going to get you 1.1 points for his 1 catch and 1 yard, or anybody else, because that's what it is at this point. You can have Taysom Hill as your tight end, and he'll score you 30 points, or he'll get you nothing. TJ Hawkinson, blow up, do nothing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, except for Travis Kelce, who is a robot.
He is, in fact, a cyborg. So we're in a league together. Now, I didn't make you the trade. I'm 5-5, defending champion, but it's a tight end premium must start too. This is like how the sausage is made, So I offered Evan Ingram and Dan Arnold, so you have the entire Jacksonville connection for Darren Waller. I think I'm going to cash in my chips. And I'm going to move basically one tight end because Arnold is Ingram. Ingram is Arnold.
Right.
And see if I can't get somebody who, at least I can bank on Waller. He's going to be there. It's going to be him. It's going to be Adams. They clearly need more weapons there. And I think long term, he just signed a new contract. He's not going anywhere.
No.
So I just made a little lowball offer on him. I think I'll probably get rejected. This is the story of my life, Jerry. I'm not afraid to get rejected.
No, yeah.
I think these are the conversations. So Jerry and I are having a conversation about these 4 guys. These are the kind of conversations you need to be having with yourself. Now, not out loud. Now, luckily, we live in the day and age of 2022. You could have your AirPods in like Jerry. You could be having an out loud conversation with your car going down the highway. As long as you got like one AirPod in, they'll just assume you're on the phone. Not really knowing that you're crazy as a shithouse rat having a conversation with yourself about the dynasty value.
As a shithouse rat.
Not really knowing that you're sitting there having a conversation with yourself about the overall dynasty value of Chuba Hubbard.
Right.
They just see your mouths moving, but they just assume, okay, cool. She's on Bluetooth. They have the Bluetooth in. They got the AirPod in. They're not crazy.
Unless Cole's the one clocking you while you're speeding on the freeway. He's assuming you're talking about.
Now, if you have your AirPods out and like, I don't know, like a lot of cars have like Bluetooth, you're all right. You're all right. Have that conversation out loud. if you have any kind of a commute, like every day the rest of the week, here's a challenge for you. Pick a player tomorrow morning, or if you're in your car right now, as soon as you finish the podcast, hey, you know what? What's the real dynasty value of Chuba Hubbard? And just have that out loud conversation as you drive into the office today. Maybe it's a factory, I don't know. But then on the way home, you may debate what is the long-term dynasty value of Greg Dulcich? I don't know. Have that conversation with yourself. But if you were a member of patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone, you could have that conversation with me or Jerry or in the group chat or one-on-one or however you want to have that conversation. Now, you're a lot less crazy because you're actually having a conversation with me. Do I take phone calls? Sure I do. It's the day and age of 2022. We're a text-based society. We do a lot of group chats and DMs, but I don't care. We're here to help you. You're helping the show. We're helping you. That's how this works. Is this right, Jerry?
That works. I mean, that's it. That's right.
Jerry, hell of a straight man over there. So check us out, man. Patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Jerry, what else you got? You got anything? Get to go home queue?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I'm going to be in Michigan in a couple weeks here, which is.
Are you excited for Thanksgiving? Now, Thanksgiving's a great holiday.
Here,
let me ask you this.
It's honestly my favorite holiday.
I was going to say, where do you? Well, you kind of already answered. Where do you rank Thanksgiving in the pantheon of American holidays? Number one.
Because it is. I am a big fan of soul food and sides and everything else. So, and this is the holiday where you get all of that. So I love that. It's also based football happens all day. Now, granted, a lot of people are pissed off that it's always the Lions, but you guys can suck my ass because it's the only thing we get that's enjoyable. So while you have to deal with your weird uncle who's talking about weird shit, at least we as Lions fans, when that conversation starts to drift, we can talk about how the Lions are losing, and we can center that.
Well, they've won back-to-back games.
Yeah, listen, and don't get me started because I'll get too excited. I'll think we're going to go to the wild card because I do like the direction of the Lions, but we need it on Thanksgiving. It's the only day we get, so don't take it from us. We've had 65 years of this point with one playoff win, and you're going to take the one thing that we have. I hope you rot in the deepest pits of hell, you bastards. But so you get football, you get, all your loved ones. It's usually like you got a warm fireplace atmosphere. It's cozy. We're having a good time. You're meeting and greeting, new significant others. You're judging them, giving them a hard time. Hopefully talking shit about football. I mean, my Spartans are bad, so I'm not going to be doing that this year. It's a great holiday compared to Christmas is a good holiday too. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing that I will say about Thanksgiving, and you got me on this Thanksgiving rant. You did this yourself. Turkey, to use the language of my Spanish friends, it belongs in la basura, which is the trash, because turkey is just not it. I want to either do ham, because ham is a premier meat to turkey. Can I get a hell yeah, Randy?
You're speaking. Keep going, brother. You're rolling.
But here's the thing. I want to take this to the next level. Why in American society have we not made ribs culturally acceptable on Thanksgiving? I feel like ribs is a premier dish with a little green bean casserole and a little stuffing and a little mashed potatoes. I feel like it's perfect. I feel like it fits perfect. And I feel like more people like ribs than they like turkey. So I don't know. So I'm trying to revolutionize the holiday.
Couple of three things there from your rant. I have Thanksgiving. This will be odd. Now, Thanksgiving is my third favorite American holiday. Number one is July 4th. A, it's Independence Day. B, I love a good summer holiday. And C, I'm usually on vacation that week. So those three things just make July 4th. Oh, it's also the only week that we don't have travel baseball. So there's a lot going for the week of July 4th in my household. That's number one.
We got 54 minutes in before we finally hit it.
Not bad. Number two is Memorial Day. I love that kickoff to summer. It also ends my busy season at work. But then number three, it's it's Thanksgiving. And I like the fact that I don't have to go shopping. I like the fact that I can just hang out. This year on Thanksgiving Day, we get 3 games. The Lions are the only team without a winning record. The rest of the games, you're going to have, at least as of today, there's one more game to play before Thanksgiving. That's week 11 coming up.
Mhm.
Then on week 12, that's the Thanksgiving week. You're going to have the Bills at the Lions. Lions get the losing record. You're going to have the Giants at you're going to have
those asses around.
you're going to have the Giants at the Cowboys for what will be a pivotal divisional matchup. Dallas always sucks ass on Thanksgiving, by the way. And then you're going to have the Patriots at the Vikings. So those are 3 really fun games the week of Thanksgiving. So you're going to get some good football. You're going to have some good fun. We are going to be here next week. Jerry is traveling. We're going to try to get something down. If not, I will fly solo. Again, I am staying local, and my wife and I are hosting Thanksgiving. So I may take this one solo because for Christmas, Jerry, you're probably going to be flying solo or one of the other members of the fam because I'm going on vacation. So we got that going.
Oh, hopefully somewhere nice and not Indiana.
It's not Indiana. It's it's out of country.
Oh,
and
so
never done
like that. Okay.
Well, we didn't do much for several years, so like the vacation fund is okay.
Okay, that's good.
If we don't win some Dynasty leagues, it may not be as okay as it was.
Well, you did win our money league, so it's
all making sense now. But that money's already been put back into more Dynasty leagues. But listen, man, great catching up with you. If you stuck around all the way to the end, thank you so much. Please consider our Patreon. If that's not really in the plans for you right now, hey, listen, we dig that the most. Just leave us a 5-star review. Even if you're not a YouTube person, just hit pause, go into YouTube. Even just on the web browser, you're going to use the app and just subscribe to the show. You can turn the notifications off. I do that for a lot of people. And those are 2 ways you can help us. Last thing I'll throw out there before we get out of there, Hate Brand Goods. They continue to drop new stuff every week. It's not your run-of-the-mill Nike or Adidas or Under Armour. It's a nice compliment too. But it looks unique. It looks fresh. So head over to HVIII.com or search that in the iTunes or Google Play Store. You'll find the app. If you see anything you like, I'm not telling you to buy anything, but if you see something you like and you decide to, that promo code Memphis goes a long way toward helping out as well. But on behalf of that man right there, the old people hating, the Thanksgiving loving, man of the hour, man with the power, Jerry Sinclair, follow him at JerrySinDWZ. Follow me at DWZ Memphis. Someone, one of us, both of us, definitely one of us will be here next week to talk football going into week 12. Have a great week. Go make some Dynasty trades. Talk to you real soon.